Hello, Omar, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Congratulations, guys, you are celebrating the second year.
Thank you.
How the site is looking so far?
Yeah, pretty good. I think we're very excited with where things have gone in the last year, or in the last 2 years even. Yeah, I think we're very excited with how things have gone in the last 2 years, and it's been a good time for e-commerce locally as well as in the region.
And can you tell us about the growth in the number of transactions and visitors? And
Sure. Yeah. So I think traffic for us grew almost threefold last year. Revenue has tripled as well, and it's right along where we had projected. Transactional volumes, we're probably doing between 1,000 to 1,200 orders at the moment, and with the introduction of
that's per
month at the moment.
Per month.
And I think with the introduction of international shipping, we expect that volume to increase steadily this year as well.
All right, so you expanded it to 10 countries?
10 new countries.
Which countries are they?
So it's the GCC, so the entire GCC, the subcontinent, which includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, as well as the Philippines.
And I wanted to ask you about, you have a new service called JP Deals. Is this like a group buying option?
No, exactly. I think it's something where we're essentially trying to get into a space of being able to offer more competitive pricing more regularly. So previously our promotional activity was focused around sales and essentially trying to have regular sales and having other promotions. And now we're trying to come into something that's a little bit more permanent, where we can offer product more consistent.
So you mentioned that you have an initial investment of $3 million, and now it has been increased?
No, so we started at about $1 million. So that's come from our parent firm, Al Holdings, and now we've essentially sometime last year we upped that to $3 million. So we're at about $3 million at the moment. We're potentially looking to fundraise in the near future to see if we can bring on additional capital externally to be able to scale out the business a little bit faster. But at the moment, with the money that we have, we're growing quite comfortably.
And since you have been in this business for 2 years, what are the main challenges facing the e-commerce in the region?
I think the challenge is probably one of the primary challenges initially was trying to get customers to understand what was e-commerce, how did it work, why it was okay to transact online. That transacting online they would actually get their product and not only get their product but then be supported and serviced afterwards. So I think it was the uptake was the initial challenge. I think on the distribution front as well as with our suppliers, it was trying to prove that that the channel was valid, like in other markets, that the channel would become more and more important as we go ahead. And I think little by little, slowly, on both sides, on the consumer side as well as on the supplier side, people are beginning to understand that. And people are, I think it's still very early days. We're still, we've been in the market for 2 years, but I think e-commerce is still probably a good 5 to 7 years away from really scaling up in the region and taking up significant market share. But we're here and we're going to plug away at it.
And what are the most popular categories and products on your website?
So yeah, I mean we're primarily a consumer electronics seller. I think probably the most popular at the moment is phones, tablets, and all the accessories that go with it. I think 5 or 6 years ago, it would be sort of like a rare sight to find a consumer that had 2 devices or more devices. Today, you probably know a bunch of people that have 2 phones. I know people that have got 2 phones, an iPad mini, and a laptop. And it's not that uncommon to see. And I think it's because people are much more inclined to sort of take up technology and sort of use that within their lives and have integrated it more closely into their lives. So, which works really well for our business at this point.
And do you have like a percentage of how much sales you have on phones and tablets?
Not off the top of my head, unfortunately. But it's probably a big chunk. I think if I had to estimate right now, I'd probably say it's about 30 to 40% of our business at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And what's coming for JW? Where do you envision it in 5 years from now?
It's tough to say. I think we'd probably like to be between 150 to $200 million business, if I'm being optimistic. We genuinely feel that there's an opportunity for e-commerce in the next 5 to 7 years to be between 7 to 8% of retail in the region. If from some of the numbers that we look at, retail is sort of like a 250 billion, between $250 billion to a $275 billion opportunity. And if you're looking at between 7 to 8% of that coming to e-commerce. You're looking at, say a $22 to $25 billion opportunity for e-commerce. And then if you say that, you want to be even a 5% player in that market or a 10% player in that market, you're looking at being, a $1 billion player essentially. So I think we're being conservative, and I'd like to think that, that the business has got quite a way to go. I think the challenge, as with any business, is sustaining in the short term. So you can see that faraway goal that that the market is going to X, but I think it's about being able to sustain yourself in the short term and essentially grow out along a growth path that is actually sustainable for the business at this point.
So you mentioned some ambitious plans that you want to expand even to the US and Australia. Why do you think someone in the US will buy from a website that's based in the Middle East?
I think it's the same reason why for example, why Qantas did a deal with Emirates. Today, if you look at a carrier like Emirates, they dominate the Sydney to London corridor, the Australia to the UK corridor, simply by geographical positioning. And I think it's a similar thing for e-commerce. I think geographically we're positioned in the right place. We've got the right fundamentals in terms of infrastructure. We've got the right logistics infrastructure. We've got relatively inexpensive warehousing. And I think product sourcing for us in the UAE is absolutely fantastic. So in that sense, I feel that there's an opportunity to build a truly global player, at least within our category, being based out of Dubai. I genuinely feel that there's an opportunity there, simply because of the fundamentals are right for it to happen.